Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio.
So for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world. Time!
Three on the way. Oh! It went in! It went in! And Indiana wins the ball game!
Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni!
Full game for the win! Ayler's gone. Come on, touchdown, Indy! Woo! IU! America! They got a football team now!
It's pretty simple. I win. Google me.
You know that I'm the cream of the crop.
Now, here's Jim Coyle.
Welcome aboard. Hello, how are you? Glad to have you, as always, on this Tuesday. I hope you're doing fine. Plenty to talk about. Lots in the news. Snap into it. Snap a Slim Jim. There you go. That was great commercials from our old buddy, Randy Macho Man Savage. How's everybody doing? Appreciate you. Let's see. It's getting so warm out there, I can't stand it. Not just kidding. No, another day of moderate temperatures, high of 41. Tomorrow you get up to 50. So there you got that. But rest of the week, not bad. A little rain on the weekend, Sunday and Monday. It's okay. And to each life, a little rain must fall. Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News, our nation's oldest and longest running sports publication, joins us, and from the BTN network as well. As well, you are not working there tonight, I can tell.
I'm working. I will be on the Big Today show at noon, so I'm working there today.
How often do you have to go to the studio?
I'm usually there on Saturdays. I'm there this Saturday, and then the final week of the regular season there, I'm there on Sunday.
Not bad. Where is the studio? Just in general terms,
In Chicago, probably about I don't know, 10 blocks away from the Magnificent Mile, maybe.
Wow.
Maybe a little more than that. I don't know. I've never walked it all the way because I'm there in the winter, so I don't usually.
That's right. No way, baby. Shoot, I was there in the fall, and I'm back when Indiana played Marquette, and that night it was just. I'm like, get me out of here, man! It was like, wow. Terrible.
I will say this: the weather. I mean, I've been going there for 17 years now, and the weather has almost never been. I mean, there have been days when it's cold because of the wind, and there's been a snow or two. But I've been pretty lucky. I've dodged most of the rough weather in my time there. And the other thing is that they're really good in Chicago about when it comes, it's gone. I mean, they're really good at getting it out of the streets.
Yeah, that's like San Antonio, baby. I always think of them as the cleanest city around. But
I was going to say, how does San Antonio handle the snow?
Oh yeah, they don't handle snow. But Minnesota, let's talk about another clean city. Man, they clean that city every night. The sidewalks and all of that. Every night. Speaking of Minnesota. Wow, what a segue. Unintended, but I'll take it. Former Minnesota quarterback Teddy Bridgewater. There's the Teddy Bridgewater Act in Florida. Did you see this?
No.
He's been coaching his alma mater, trying to help him out, and there's a lot of downtrodden kids, but he spent some of his own money on food and transportation. And apparently someone came down on him. But now the Teddy Bridgewater Act passed 38-0, which now allows coaches in K through 12 schools to spend up to $15,000 of their personal money to assist players with food and transportation of things like that. Yeah, Teddy Bridgewater got suspended for that, but now he's got an entire law in his name, which is kind of not bad, baby. And it also rolls off the tongue, the Teddy Bridgewater Act. That sounds like something from the 1800s, though. The Teddy Bridgewater Act.
Well, I will say that I wish that it were the case that that the coaches didn't have to use their personal funds to make sure that the athletes had transportation and food.
I'm sure they don't either.
Yeah, I would imagine that it might be a little better if it were coming from the schools themselves and the state.
Yep. Man, there's so much going on. This is almost old news. It's 2 days old, man. USA hockey. I mean, that is just so big still, though. But it should be. That was the coolest thing. Just watching that game, watching it unfold. It goes to overtime. It was perfect. The drama. It was great, and that was fun. I mean, that was awesome.
I'll tell you a little story about what happened to me, Jim. And this can be a lesson to everyone who travels by air, perhaps during a athletic event of consequence that they are invested in. I had to come back from BTN on Sunday morning, not knowing when I booked the flight. Gosh, probably in December. Avery, who handles our travel, I sent her the dates and all that, and she booked it, and I didn't really learn until Thursday what time the game would be on Sunday. So I was scheduled to leave on 11:35 Eastern on my flight to Pittsburgh. The game began at 8:10 a.m. So there's plenty of time to get the game in, even if it went to overtime. But it was going to be a little close to boarding. So I get to the airport. I watched the first period in my hotel, get showered up, ready during the period break, watch most of the second period on my phone in my Uber on the way to O'Hare, a little bit of it after I get in rather than go through security. I watched until Canada tied it up, and then I was like, okay, well, I'm going to just go through security now. I think there were like 4 minutes left. And so then I got to my gate, and I get there, and I say, should I go to the bar and watch the game there, or just watch it on my phone so that when they start to call us, I'll be able to get on the plane? And I should have enough time, but let's just be sure. So I decide to watch it on my phone, and I'm sitting there facing my gate with one earplug in, the other one out in case they call the flight. And with, I don't know what it was, about 10 a.m. Central Time, something like that, I hear a loud roar behind me. And I'm like, well, I hope those people aren't Canadian, because I knew what had happened. You know, I knew what had happened. I just didn't know which team had scored. And I said to myself, I hope those people aren't Canadian, because the puck was down at their end on my phone, delayed when the cheer came up. And I'm like, is it going in now, or is it coming back the other way? And about 10 seconds later, Hughes scored the goal. Jack Hughes scored the goal officially for me, but I already kind of knew it was coming. So the lesson is, if you're in that situation, go to the bar. That's your lesson. If you really care who wins, and I really did, I enjoyed the heck out of that game, but I did miss the suspense of seeing it all develop in with not knowing that it was going to take place.
Always sage advice right there. Always sage advice from the master. Yes, I believe that wholeheartedly. But yes, that's a good story. Man, the NCAA has been going not wild in the courts, but back and forth. They win some, they lose some. But the thing that is why I'm like, you're winning and losing the same damn thing. It
That's a
seems
big
like
part
at
of the
times.
problem. But the big one, Jim, is the one that there's a judge now trying to challenge basically the 4 years of eligibility, and
Is
it's a
that the Bediako guy?
no, it's another
Because
case.
he's going to this. He's going to the Supreme Court.
Yeah, Bediako's deal is more about went pro, came back. It's not he's not asking or hasn't yet asked for more seasons of eligibility. This is his only period of eligibility right now. I suppose that if he might win a case, they might be able to extend him because they denied him this year. But as of now, this is supposed to be his last year because he began in 2022. His sophomore year, 2023, was Alabama's big season, #1 in the country, busted out in the Sweet 16. He goes pro, so 24 and 25. There are his junior and senior years. This is his technical redshirt year, to which he's, according to the current court, not entitled because he declared that his eligibility was null and void when he entered the draft and remained in it. So I'm honestly, I'm not as bothered by that case, the Bediako case, as I am by the one, and I wish I remember which athlete it was, but trying to nullify the idea that college athletics should be a 4-year deal. So what, are we going to let kids play in high school until they're 30? I mean, what are we doing here? Like, the judge in this case should be ashamed of herself. It's ridiculous to try to pretend that 4 years is not a fair deal for an athlete. It's ridiculous. This is not supposed to be a lifetime deal. It's supposed to be, you go there, you play 4 years, we give you an extra year if you get hurt, maybe even 2 if you get hurt. But that's it. It's an absurd circumstance to try to say that to limit that to that period is somehow restraint of trade or whatever the heck legal jargon they're using. It's preposterous, because at that point, I mean, there are people that are getting money as high school athletes, whether they're getting it from the school or getting it around, like Cooper Flagg, I think, had commercials when he was in high school. I'm not sure, but I think he did. LeBron certainly could have if the rules had been different during his period. LeBron was nationally famous. He could have done commercials for anything. So do you then just stretch out your high school years until you're 28? Why not? You're making money. I'm really bothered by this. And this is an area in which Congress should be comfortable acting. A lot of the stuff around college athletics is in terms of what they're trying to get done at the national level, at the congressional level, and all that. I think they're overreaching in that respect. I think they should just go for some core aspects. And 4 years, 5 years to play 4 is a reasonable standard. And we'll give you, like I said, you blow your ACL twice, we'll give you another. You have some sort of illness. I mean, there have been athletes who had cancer and had to step away and came back. You have that, absolutely, we're giving you 2 more years. But to say that just because you can make money doing this, that you can't make somewhere else, that you should get to do this for as long as you want, that's got to be stopped, and the Congress can stop it. And if they weren't overreaching at the NCAA, trying to get things enshrined that they shouldn't be, instead of going for this and maybe a one-time transfer exception instead of constant movement, if they were going for those elements, they might have gotten it done by now.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's and we've heard the NCAA talk about this, but it's so all these different states and jurisdictions and judges and judges that are Alma or went to schools and this and that, and it's like, come on, man. It's like, wow, you just got to get a judge on your side, and you're in great shape. Which we've seen that play out. So, but yeah, federal legislation. But I say that and it's going to have to take that, because these jackasses are not going to get along. Because you can look right now, the rules are the rules that were set by the schools that agreed to all these. Alabama is just going right against that, and not just them, but anybody that's doing this is doing exactly what Charlie Baker is saying. It's like, dude, what are you doing? We set up a bunch of rules, and you SOBs are going against it. You all are the ones that are breaking this up, and you're causing all this trouble, and it's the truth. And now Alabama, after having the commissioner basically call them out, they're still going another step further. And I'm like, wow, there might be a phone call that needs to happen to the AD, but that's not going to happen because they're not going to tell them what to do. But I would like to see Greg Sankey make a phone call just to say
that. I mean, he did what he could, Jim. He did what he could.
Yeah, he did. No, he did.
He said, "This is not,
that.
Situations like this are not good for college sports," is what he said. If he tells Alabama what to do, then he puts himself in a position where he could be held liable. And he doesn't want to do that. He doesn't want to do that for himself or for the conference. And so rightfully, he is not doing that. It would be a mistake on his part. So he did what he could do, and Alabama didn't listen. Or apparently didn't listen. The statement they put out yesterday was pretty nebulous. They weren't saying that they were all for this, that they were backing him. I know they mentioned we're in support of Charles continuing support of his or pursuit of his degree. And so I don't know that they necessarily said, yeah, we're both feet in. This is their statement. We understand that Charles is pursuing an appeal in his case against the NCAA, and ultimately he must do what he considers to be in his best interest. The university continues to support Charles as he works toward completing his degree. So that's all they said. And so they could have done better. I think they could have said, that they're glad Charles is interested in getting a University of Alabama degree, and that would have been enough, because bringing up the appeal sort of suggests to me that they're not opposed to him doing that.
I agree. It's silly time with all of that, but and so much going on. Joey Aguiar, his deal denied. So both Joey Aguiar and the Mr. Vanderbilt will be in Indianapolis right now as the combine begins. So that'll be something to see how that shakes out. As the men's hockey team quickly accepted an invitation to the White House. They're fired up, ready to go. There's that. Then the NCAA, what's it called? I forget, something of repercussions, but involves Indiana, and the guys that were suing to get their eligibility, and then if the case goes against them and they played for the team and this and that, there was threats of, we're gonna vacate wins and this, that. And I'm like, yeah, right. Because Lewis Moore is a player on Indiana's team who sued successfully for a year of eligibility. And it was like his 6th year, probably, at least, or maybe 7th, possibly. But when he ended, the suit was coming up later. He was done. He's like, hey, I'm done. I don't need the suit. And so they canceled it, but the NCAA doesn't want to cancel it because they want to try to win that. And if they win that, then they want to come back with repercussions. But there is no way on God's green earth that anything is going to happen to Indiana's national championship. First of all, they want a CFP national championship. So there's that.
So the NCAA does. I don't know that they have even the authority to strip that if they wanted to.
They don't.
Which, by the way, let me say this as loudly as I can. The vacation penalty is the dumbest in the history of sports. The dumbest is when they were withdrawing scholarships. That was the dumbest, because what they were doing, now they're saying, oh, all these guys that are staying in school, they're hurting the high school kids. Well, meanwhile, they were destroying thousands, millions of dollars worth of the infractions committee were destroying thousands or millions of dollars worth of free education by giving these scholarship penalties as willy-nilly as they did over the years. Oh, we can't think of anything else, so let's take 10 scholarships away from them. Every scholarship is one fewer athlete that can go to school for free. And this is pure logic, Jim. There are X number of Division I schools. They all can give, at that point, 25 scholarships a year, 85 total. That was the rule. Okay, so you destroy 10 scholarships. That means that 10 people can't go to good old State U to play football. And people say, well, they can go somewhere else. Okay, so those athletes will go somewhere else. But the athletes that were going to go somewhere else can't go there. And then eventually you get to the end of the line and there's no scholarship for 10 kids. So those scholarships were destroyed. And now they're arguing that these other things are bad because they hurt high school students. So they were the ones that were doing it all those years. So that was a terrible penalty. But the vacation penalty was just dumb. The fact that they took the NCAA title away from Louisville. I did a piece.
I was thinking about that last night.
Yeah, I did a piece 6 or 7 years ago. And I always chuckle because in this particular college basketball season, it's really not that much different, except that there's this expectation that Michigan and Illinois, a few others in the Big Ten, Purdue maybe, have a chance to win it. And the drought that has been in existence since 2000. And I'm like, yeah, but in 2013, Michigan played Louisville. They got beat on a bad call and some bad offensive or defensive rebounding on their own fault, and some great play by some other Louisville players, etc. But now Louisville doesn't have the title. So so did Michigan win that one? Well, no. Well, then like how can you say it didn't happen? I was there. I wrote about it. I worked hard. It's just so ridiculous that they've done this all these years, Jim. It's always been it's been ridiculous going back to the days of Jim Thorpe. You don't vacate what happened. We all saw it. And so to try to maintain that didn't happen is ridiculous.
That it is, and I agree. And everyone else thinks so. I mean, I think of 2013. I think of Louisville as the national champion. It's just it is what it is. So there's that. Speaking of basketball, let's take a quick break, and there is action on the hardwood tonight in the Big Ten and much more. We've got Mike DeCourcy along for the ride. Back with more right after we take a small break.
Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. ISB Radio with Jim Coyle is brought to you exclusively on The Zone by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage, and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
Bored, Bloomington? Dave & Buster's can fix that. Eat and drink your way through our all-new menu. Play half-price games every Sunday through Thursday. Watch all your team's wins on a 40-foot screen and 30 HD TVs. And level up with the high-flying human crane that puts you in the game. Private game suites, our exclusive arena, and more. Only at Dave & Buster's on 731 South College Mall Road.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Tuesday. Glad to have you along and glad to be with you. Fortunately, to have the great Mike DeCourcy with us from the Sporting News, Big Ten Network. And speaking of Big Ten Network, Indiana hosting Northwestern tonight in a game that should be an Indiana win. You never should say that, obviously, but I'm not a coach, so I get to do that. I don't care. I expect them. I expect them to win this game. I didn't expect them to win at Purdue, at Illinois. I mean, I was like, hey, man, you can't. You expect that. I'd like to have seen a better effort at Purdue. They let Trey Kaufman-Renn, who they handled when they were in Bloomington, and they handled the guards in Bloomington. But boy, up in West Lafayette, Fletcher Lawyer was just clean and pure, getting those shots off. But Trey Kaufman-Renn turned into a beast somehow down there and just ran Indiana ragged on the inside, and it just really exposed with their glaring weakness. But rebounds, I mean, they got doubled up 30-15, I think, 13-0 on second chance points. This is a recurring theme. I mean, every game, like, I can go to two stat boxes: the second chance points, and what's the other one? Here of late, it's been free throws, because everyone's getting to the free throw line and much more than Indiana. I mean, 10 to 15 more shots per game going up.
I think it's the limitation of the roster, the absence of front court power. You see it somewhat at Iowa as well. Iowa, it wasn't as exposed because their schedule didn't demand of them to face a lot of the elite teams until of late. But it's hard to survive in the Big Ten at
there's no doubt about that.
It's hard. If you've got somebody extraordinary down there, and I think Trey qualified as that a year ago, but even then, in February of last season, you saw Purdue struggles defensively, and their inability to stop teams at the rim, with Daniel Jacobson injured and out for the year, and no other real big man other than Trey, who's 6'8", and not a leaper. It was hard for them to defend inside, and so you're seeing that with this Indiana team. One of the first elements of their portal recruitment this year will have to be going after some size, some guys who can move, and guys who preferably can play some offense. I mean, Oscar Clough is a good example of this. He's not a great shot blocker, although sometimes I think he undersells his ability in that respect. But he gives them physical power in the post that takes up some of that space, and that is something that this Indiana team, the current edition, does not have. If Malik Renew had stuck around, for instance, instead of being down in Miami, a lot of this problem would not be there. I mean, they still wouldn't be great at defending the rim, but they wouldn't be overpowered along the baseline in the way that they often are.
I agree with that, but that's something that's not going to change, especially as they head down the end of this season. They take on a Northwestern team tonight that I think that they should be able to easily handle. Again, you should never say that, but that's the truth. They should be able to handle this team, and they have to. This is a game. This is one of those games you just can't lose. I don't care.
Yeah. In their circumstance, they have Northwestern and Minnesota, two of their next three, and their next three are all at home, and they have to beat Northwestern and Minnesota. If they don't beat Northwestern and Minnesota, then they have to beat Michigan State instead. You can't lose. You have to win 2 of the next 3. Be much better, obviously. I'm painting the worst case scenario that remains a best case scenario, and that is you go 2-3 in those games, 2-1 in those 3 games. Excuse me. Then you'll stay in the picture for where you are relative to the NCAA tournament. And then it'll somewhat come down to that Ohio State game, which they need just as desperately, if not quite, maybe a teeny bit more so than Indiana does. If they win 3 out of 4, I think they'll be in the field. There aren't enough bid steals out there to knock them off. I suppose Miami, Ohio, and St. Louis will make the field regardless, and probably Utah State as well. So those are the 3 concerning bid steals out there that would imperil a Big Ten bubble team or any other bubble team. But they are ahead enough currently of the other bubble teams that they wouldn't be the ones that would be imperiled by bid steals. So win 3 out of 4, and you're getting another quad 1 win, and you're making sure you don't take any bad L's, and you're probably safe.
Yeah, if they win 3 out of 4, I guarantee you they're in without question, solidly. I think they're in with 2 more losses coming. Even if they lose to Michigan State, and then wherever they were supposed to go on the road, I forget.
Ohio State.
Yeah, that's one.
I don't think you can afford them both. I'm not saying you can't get in with if
and
you lose them
it
both.
always comes down to that. It seems here of late. That damn game for Indiana, I swear,
it's amazing.
Indiana has let their season
3 out of the
come
last
down to
4
that game.
years.
It's amazing. It's crazy. Which is kind of good TV. Yes. So you have that, but I just when you look at their metrics are so good. It's like, really, you're going to keep a team from the Big Ten out that
remember,
is in the top 35 of all the major metrics?
Yeah, but you're only considering the predictive metrics, the predictive performance. They call them predictive. I call them performance because what it says is we're overpowering. That when we win, we're overpowering. That's what Ken Palm says. And the idea is how that will predict your future performance. And they are quite good in that category. They are currently, if you look at their average ranking in resume metric, in predictive metrics, it's hold on. I just did that. It didn't come up. Hold on. Let me get that right. Come on.
And Chris is asking, what's my opinion on what IU basketball's biggest weakness right now?
Yeah, I think we just addressed that.
Yeah,
right?
I was going to say we just talked right about it. It's a couple things. It's reared its head. Defense of good guards again. They had earlier on they were having problems with holding good guards down and not letting them get loose, and then they got a hold of that good defense. And then that got away from them in the Purdue game, but that's what Purdue needs to win games, and so it worked for them.
So in the predictive metrics, you have Indiana ranked 34th, which would be a 9 seed, and so that component of it, they are in pretty good shape. But the committee doesn't use those metrics as much to select teams as they do the resume metrics, record-based metrics. And the difference with a record-based metric is it doesn't include margin of victory. They don't care how many you win by. 31-point wins, cool, you're in good shape. That's the difference. And in that case, they are 44th, which puts them right around an 11 seed. And so they're hanging right there. Now, there are lots of teams behind them in that category. New Mexico is behind them, Texas, USC, Virginia Tech, Cal, but at TCU. But most of the teams that are behind them aren't in the field. So there are some that are, like according to what my bracket will be in a couple hours. But they are not solidly in, and that's why it would be very helpful to them to get that Ohio State win or the Michigan State win, which is a home game, and maybe you feel more comfortable winning that one. But either one of those would be a quad one win. Right now, Indiana has one quad one win, and I'm sorry, I'm reading off the wrong. They have two quad one wins, and only 4 wins against quads 1 and 2. So that element is another strike against them, which is why beating Michigan State or Ohio State gets you another quad 1 victory. And then maybe you try to get another. Who knows what the bracket will be in Chicago. But right now, it's not ideal to be sitting on 4-10 against 1 and 2 combined. That's probably the worst record of any bubble team against 1 and 2 combined. You mentioned, and I mentioned what is in their favor, the predictive metrics, some high quality wins, the at UCLA, the Purdue home, but they have to get some work done down the stretch. They can't just say beat the teams you're supposed to beat, lose the 2 quad 1s, and feel good about getting in.
Well, yeah, because one of the dangers is Ohio State is the team that's right above them right now, and USC is the team right below them who they lost to and who is desperately holding on for a spot because they're underwater. They're underwater there with a conference record, and I don't think that even as strong as the Big Ten has been this year, a sub 500 record will in the conference will get you into the Big Ten.
Now, remember this, Jim, we don't look at that. I mean, when I say we, I mean the people who are doing these bracket projections, and we don't look at that because the committee doesn't look at that. When they get a team's resume, they're not looking at what their conference record was, because they recognize that.
Because this is an 18-9 team that I'm talking about.
I know, but out of the 18 wins, 13 of them were out of the top 2 quads. They are 13, and this is a plus for them now. They are 13-0 against quads 3 and 4. And why is it a plus? Because there's 0 in each category. So they have no bad losses. They don't have to explain away anything on their resume. Texas has 1. New Mexico has 1. You look at USC, they have 2. And that's part of the reason why they're going to be on my out list this week. So there are elements of their resume that are problematic. Most of us have come down. I think if you look at the bracket matrix, I think you'll find that most of us come down on the side of them being in the field. Right now on the matrix, they are a 10 seed, and out of 112 brackets, they're in 107. So that's a good sign, but we get one wrong every year on the matrix, basically. I'm trying to remember what last year's was. Last year's was West Virginia. Near unanimous.
That's because you didn't have Bubba Cunningham in the computer.
That's exactly right. There was no Bubba Cunningham in the matrix. That's exactly right. It was just us.
You don't remember Bubba Cunningham was the athletics director at North Carolina and chair of the committee in lowly North Carolina with 0 quad 1 wins last year, jumped over not only Indiana, but probably a more deserving West Virginia team who was coached by Darren DeVries, ironically.
Yes, exactly. My theory on that has always been, and I've thought about this for years, going back to nearly 20 years ago when I first attended the mock selection exercise, that when your team is being discussed, is in the case of Carolina, Bubba Cunningham goes out of the room, makes a phone call, has a coffee, uses a restroom, whatever he does.
Reads a reminder of how much his bonus is if they get in.
whatever he does. And they talk about the team while he's gone. And I always said, yeah, but he's got to come back into the room. And if you like him, and Bubba's a great guy, you're going to want him to give him good news when he comes back in. And that's
you look at
the
the committee chair and yeah, you're not. Yeah,
that's the flaw. It doesn't matter if he's chair or just one of the standard members. He or she leave the room, and if you like them, you want to give them. Now, if you don't like them, if they're not good people, then you just say, "Oh, good, this is our chance to stick it to them." But
I'm sure as he left the room, I know you boys are all going to make the right decision here, and don't let me have any influence upon what you're thinking. But I'll be just right outside.
First of all, his name may be Bubba, but he does not have that accent. Okay, and he is really he's really a lovely person and somebody.
I'm sure he is.
That I really like in college.
I don't doubt that at all. But I will always rail on him.
But they should not have gotten in. And I've seen the bonus reported, and if he accepted that bonus, he should not have. That's not right. That should not happen. You should forfeit any such bonuses when you're on the committee that assigns those appearances. You should not. For any athletic director that serves on those committees should forfeit any bonuses associated. And that's all those committees, whether it's baseball, softball, women's volleyball, they are all like that. And it's true as well, even though it's technically not an NCAA deal. The CFP, same thing. There are sitting athletic directors. The only difference with the CFP is I know they usually use a retired media person on their committee, which is interesting because obviously the NCAA does not do that in any way, shape, or form with the men's basketball committee. Jim's Colonel Sanders voice. That was it. So you were doing Bubba Cunningham disguised as
that reminds me of Foghorn Leghorn, man. Man, all right. I know I can't keep you all day, and I appreciate you so much as always. Last thing, Indiana hires Ryan Carr from the Pacers as basically their GM.
Yes.
Man, he has been comes from a long line of experience of doing some great things that will help Indiana in what they're doing, especially with recruiting and player personnel. It's kind of like what Indiana football has, the ability to really see these guys and help develop them. So big move for Indiana.
Oh, I never met him in my time in Indiana. But everything that came out yesterday subsequent to that hire has been glowing. And I do know this, that he was part of one of the best organizations in the NBA, an organization that got to the NBA Finals and the Eastern Conference Finals in consecutive years without ever choosing only two players, one of them who became a key rotation player in that period in the top 10 of the draft. Never getting a game changer in like they may this year, and cross your fingers for AJ DeBonsa. They never got that player in the draft in the way that so many others have done. Chet Holmgren, for instance, at OKC, look, they did a great job with Shea figuring him out when he fell to 10 or 11 in his draft year, 2018, I believe that was. But they did get Chet Holmgren at the top of the draft. Indiana never did that. So Ryan Carr has been a part of an organization that's been able to build without having to fail. And I have huge respect for that, being able to be successful that way. Now, the failure that's happened this year has not been by design or anything other than bad luck, injury to Tyrese, injury to TJ, injuries all around the perimeter, etc.
Really? You say bad luck, but
it could turn out to be good luck. But
it's going to turn out to be good luck to get a top 3 draft pick and then get Tyrese back.
If they
although
had
he's got
Kyrie,
shingles right now, well, along with my grandmother, that I don't know how in the world that happens. That doesn't happen very often to a young man like him. But
see,
man,
I will say this: I'm not even wanting them to get the 1 pick. I'm not that, I'm not that greedy, so to speak. I want them to get 2. I want them to get 2, and whoever gets 1 to take Darren Peterson.
I was going to say, will they take Darren Peterson?
I think they will because he's that good. But I want the Pacers to get AJ. He would fit perfectly in their culture. He's a baller. He would fit perfectly into their system. He's a distributor, a scorer, a rebounder, a defender. He's exactly what they need. Is it too much to ask? Too much to hope for, Jim?
No, hey, nothing is too much to hope for in this world anymore, baby. Just take it all. Michigan, Duke, man, that was a big, wow, was that a tournament game?
No, it wasn't. I'm glad you brought that up. It was not.
Why not?
Because everybody wants to say it was like a Final Four game. Really? I'm sitting here trying to even figure out what it meant. I was on BTN that night, and I'm trying to figure out, what did this game mean? It didn't convey anything other than the number 1 ranking. Like, who cares, right? The number 1 overall seed. In some years, it would matter. This year, it doesn't matter at all because Duke wants to be in the East playing DC. Michigan wants to be in the Midwest playing Chicago. So they're not fighting for the same thing. 1 seed gets you to both. So they weren't fighting for that. Now, are there things that you can learn from it? I think Michigan learned a lot about its approach because they were so static on offense in the first half. The ball never went to the rim. They took way too many threes in that first half when they were dominating the interior, and they could have punished. And Cam Boozer's a terrific defender, but make him work so that you wear him out for the other end. And they didn't do that at all. They had 3 different guys, whoever Boozer guarded, whether it was Merez, Daimara, the Axel Lindeborg. If Boozer guards him, go to him. Take at least 3-4 plays. Make him defend. They never did. The ball stayed on the perimeter. They were way too static, so they learned a ton. But March isn't about learning. March is about you survive and advance, or you perish and you go home. That's what March is about. So no, thank you for giving me the platform to say it was nothing like a Final Four game, nothing like an Elite 8 game, nothing like a March game. It was a nice occasion. It was a really good basketball game, but it doesn't even convey conference standing, remember, because you're playing non-conference there. So I the number of times I've heard that, including last night on ESPN telecast of the Louisville Carolina game, it just frustrates me because I know, and we all know what March is like. March is, I win this game or my offseason starts. And that's totally different than maybe I can get a little better if I play this team and figure out what I'm not going to do well if I play this team when it really counts.
I love it. I see Mike with a sword in the scabbard, baby. Yes, no. Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News. As always, appreciate you so much, sir.
Thanks, Jim.
We'll see you next week. Back. Hey, we've got them lined up. The great Max Bielfeldt, the sharpshooter, and T-Wilt in Campbell's Corner. Sometimes a dangerous place to be, but it's usually pretty safe. JD takes care of them. We're back with that and more right after these messages.
The ISC Sports Network is your home for sports content across the Hoosier State. Find us live on TV and streaming or archived on our website and our app. The ISC is your one-stop shop for the content you want to see, including high school sports, college sports, and other great events throughout the year. Subscribe to our streaming service and get access to it all. ISC. Local lives here.
If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemoreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let's Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. ISB Radio with Jim Coyle is brought to you exclusively on The Zone by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer.
Dave & Buster's Bloomington is the place to eat, drink, play, and watch. Enjoy half-price games every Sunday through Thursday, a new menu to dig into, and next-level upgrades like private game suites, the high-flying human crane that puts you in the game, our exclusive arena, and more. Only at Dave & Buster's Bloomington, 731 South College Mall Road.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, here on this Tuesday. As always, joined by the great J.D. Campbell. And in Campbell's corner, man, line them up. T-Will, Troy Williams, the high flyer, and the sharpshooter, Max Bielfeldt. Max has been on with me before. How you doing, Max? Been a while.
Pretty good. Yeah, pretty good. Good to be back, Jim.
Great to see you. I've not had the pleasure of having T-Will on, so thanks to JD. But T-Will, great to see you, man.
You as well.
Troy, can you...
those the NBA jerseys hanging in the background there?
Do you see that, Troy?
Oh, I do see it,
yeah. Yeah. Somebody may be getting a gift soon.
Oh, man.
Oh, mercy. I see that. Nice. JD's got a framed box version, but that is the Knicks. I can tell that from here, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the New York Knicks. Speaking of which, Troy, you played for what, 4 NBA teams?
5.
5?
Uh-huh.
Well, have you seen that commercial of the dude that played for like almost every damn NFL team?
Yeah.
I was like, how can you play for that many NFL teams? Life of an NFL player is not that long, but
right.
But man, appreciate both of you guys, and I know that your relationship with JD is the reason you're here, and but we appreciate you. And JD has been so great and so much fun. Here's what's funny, and both of you, I want to tell both of you, all the years, all he did was spent time walling people like me off. Get away. Nope, get away. Hey, you can't talk to you. Nope, don't talk to anybody. As a matter of fact, I first met JD. This is a great story. It was just a regular season game, but Derek Elston, who was just on with us, and Derek's been on a ton. I love Derek. He's great. But after the game, he was walking across the floor, and I walked up to him. I think I just started doing this show, which was a long time ago. But I said, "Hey, man, I'd like to get you on the show sometime." Or da. And boy, JD come up. Hey, don't you ever talk to my guys without going through me first. And I mean, he was right there on the spot. And I'm like, damn, there was like a 200 people on the floor, and I didn't intend to do it that way. It was just one of those inadvertent things, but it was funny, and I will never forget it. And I did not forget it. I assure you that. But
Jim, one thing I'll never forget is the guys that gave me this ring, 2016. Right. And it's interesting. I want to see if people can see this. And Max, I want you to tell the story about this. I've got a number of the programs, and it's amazing. I sent a YouTube video where you two talked before the Creighton game, which was a big game for us. But you told me something about taking a charge, and maybe Troy remembers, maybe he doesn't. But what was your deal with your teammates if they took a charge?
Yeah, JD sent that earlier, and I was looking at it for a second. All of a sudden, a story popped back into my head, which I'm assuming might happen more and more today, as we're about 10 years ago now. But yeah, we were, I came from Michigan, right? And Michigan does some things well, we do some things poorly. But one of the things we did over there was, take a lot of charges, to the point that, I think the whole block charge conversation, the Zach Novak days, you sliding in and taking it. There was no charge circle at that point, right? So we benefited from that for a while. But I come in Indiana, and I think it was like the Eastern Illinois game or something. We're in a huddle, and I'm like, guys, these guys are coming downhill, and they are just jumping in the air and either shooting it or passing it out. Like, it is just, I'm salivating for a charge. I can't be in all 5 positions at once. I'd take one every time. So we're in the huddle, and I'm like, guys, I swear, anyone who takes a charge, I will buy a Chipotle burrito. And all of a sudden, college kids, this is before NIL days. Chipotle burrito was big deal. So, we're all in the huddle.
That's high-end food. That was high-end food back then.
It was.
One of the guys is like, is guac included? I'm like, listen here, we're not worried about the guac. I'm worried about you getting charged first. Included. I swear, after that huddle, I think I owed about 4 or 5 Chipotle burritos. And I'm like, is that easy? Coach, come on. This whole motivating thing is easy. You just got to put the incentives in the right place.
And unfortunately, can you imagine that? Oh.
Yeah, and I used to sneak food to guys if I made them come in to do a feature. And both of these guys had features done on them by The Journey. So fans, if you want to go on YouTube, click BTN Journey, and there's features on both of these fine gentlemen who I consider friends of mine, and I'll consider friends for life. But I want to talk a little bit about the season. It's the last time IU's won a Big Ten championship, and entering the year, Maryland was a unanimous favorite. And we didn't have Maryland on the schedule till game number 18. So we, couldn't take care of business ourselves. And we went to Hawaii and really struggled. The best thing about Hawaii, and Troy and Max, if you can talk about it, had to be the OG dance-off. Do you guys remember that?
I forgot about that. I forgot about that.
Yeah, but you remember it now, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, that was pretty fun.
I like the Maui trip. The Maui trip was fun. The Maui trip was a lot of fun. Just going out there and experiencing that. And then, as a kid, you growing up, and then, my Uncle B and Boo Williams were surrounded by basketball. So, one of my dreams was to always play in that invitational. So, that was a cool experience.
Max?
I mean, besides the fact that we lost some games we shouldn't have, I think Maui was a good experience.
I love that. I love that being the first thing that comes to mind to anybody, because that is just looking at it, and I'm like, so much.
I know. I was like, man, how did we? And I was like, those soft Maui rims. I was like, man, I think if we had John Collins coming off the bench for Wake Forest, I'm like, okay, this is our first, Max, you got to push them about 10 feet away from the basket, because every single rebound is coming about 6 inches from the basket. A big 7-footers there, and we're done. No, listen, we were finding our identity back then. We had won some games at home, and we were getting some cohesiveness. I didn't think we really found our culture of our team until after the Duke game. We kind of came together, and that's when we went on a run. But Maui was cool. I was lucky. I went there with Michigan too, so that was my second time. So it's a super unique experience, and I think it was great. We were able to experience that and go over there. And I was watching that interview about, I think I was getting asked about the time change and this and that. It's I mean, these days the time change hits you every week in the Big Ten. You got to fly to UCLA, Washington, and whatnot. So no excuses there. But no, I mean, Maui was the first time we came together. We were on the road together, right? That's a big thing, especially you think about the freshmen we had. We had Juwan Morgan, OG Anunoby, Thomas Bryant, all freshmen. And getting them on the road, I think OG was playing 2 or 3 minutes a game at that point, and obviously, by the end of the season, that was a different story. So. We were veterans, right? You had me, Troy, Yogi, right, Zeisloff, Colin, the whole gang was old, but you forget we were either veterans or newbies, and we had this weird mix, right? We had this weird mix that we were trying to kind of balance, and I don't think the full chemistry was really on full display until end of December, January in Big Ten, and I mean that's speaks for itself. We won the Big Ten by two whole games, which is kind of unheard of. Winning it outright is nice these days.
Man.
Yeah. I think in my mind that the turning point of the season came in the second half of the Crossroads against Notre Dame. And Troy and Max, I'm interested to find out. You were down 10. We fell back by 16 and outscored them, like by a dozen points in the final few minutes to kind of win going away. Let's start with Troy. Troy, what was that locker room like at halftime, and what turned the corner for you guys?
The energy never died. You know how Coach Crean can be. Coach Crean came in real motivational, real energetic, trying to get us going. And I remember starting out that game slow. Like I think I probably went into halftime with probably like 2 points or something like that. Like I didn't start off that good. And I just remember us coming out in the second half and just coming out with a new energy. We took it one play at a time. We started to find our rhythm, our mojo. And that Crossroads Classic, that's another one I feel like, all right, that brought us really close together too, for sure.
Max?
No doubt. And I was just looking at the box score. Troy, you came out of halftime and you put on a show. I had a bad first and second half, finishing, I think, with a whopping 2 points. So I'll leave that question more to you.
It turned around for me in the second half, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think the one thing I'll add is, we were a team that when we were clicking, we were clicking. It was, scary. And when we had all pieces firing, shots were falling. You had Thomas in there, with that 7'6" wingspan, figuring it out as a 17, 18-year-old, whatever he was. That was one of the times we started to click, and we're like, we can be good. We can be really good against a good team. So I mean, that was definitely one. Another one, neutral site. How do you come together on the road? And if you can start putting that together, that's when teams get good.
After that, we were getting ready to open the Big Ten season at Rutgers, and I think a day or two before we left, James tore his ACL. What were your guys' thoughts when he got injured, and now you were going to have to face the entire Big Ten gauntlet without one of the best shooters in the Big Ten?
We had a lot of weapons. We had a lot of weapons that year, luckily. Like, we did lose James, which was a big part of us. But we had guys like Nick Zeisloff. We had Rob Johnson. We had other guys that could shoot. And, of course, we had Yogi. And, I just feel like we had so many weapons that year. Man. Yeah, like we just had so many weapons on the team. I mean, Rob stepped up his role. Nick stepped up his role. I think everybody just fell into where they needed to fall into to make up for that.
Yeah, I remember OG having a big game, especially his athleticism, getting offensive rebounds. And, OG, you were talking about Maui, Max. OG didn't play against St. John's. The one game we didn't. And we did win. But I think that accelerated the development of both OG and Juwan, because they both made tremendous plays throughout the season. And Max, when you see that as a teammate, and you see a guy come out and really step up their game, what does that do for the rest of the team?
I mean, you can feel it even as a fan, whether it's a team starting to click, like I mentioned, or a player starting to click, right? Especially as a freshman, a high potential freshman, right? Like an OG. When you see them start to put it together and realize, hey, the reason I haven't been playing isn't because I'm a bad player. The reason I haven't been playing is because, one or two fundamental things that coach can't count on me on. I ball stared and I missed the box out, right? You do that a couple times as a freshman, coach is like, he's not ready. The things you got to do and to make those things, fix aren't exactly like, I got to work for 6 months on it. Once it clicks, and then you take a massive leap in your game, really. And I think that's what happened is, it's getting comfortable with game reps, right? Obviously, the early games where you're winning, against smaller schools, 20, 30 points, it's great. But getting in there with a little pressure, can you still stay to the fundamentals? Can you still rebound the ball? Can you still, put an arm in someone's chest, right? And I think it's those game reps that you see in every sport. Someone goes down, if the young guy can get up and handle that moment, that's really what propels a team to, you know, an extra couple wins a season.
Troy?
I say this. I feel like maybe Coach Crean may or may not don't get a lot of credit for this, but Coach Crean really knows how to develop players, and he does it in a way to where he can also show you who else it worked out for. Like for me, for OG, a lot of the times he would show a lot of Victor Oladipo highlights, and he'll show other people or Christian Wofford highlights, how he worked in this role, or how Coach Crean can see you playing in this role, and if you master it, it's going to work out for you in the end. But his player development, what he sees for the player, is something that you don't see for yourself in that moment until later on down the road, and you're looking back and you're like, yo, I know how to do this because of Coach Crean teaching me this. And I think that plays a huge part in it. I think what Max said plays a huge part in it, them learning their role and mastering it. That's really just how much I see it.
Well,
I gotta hop in there, because that what Troy just hit on actually is one of Coach Crean's biggest talents, and he did the same thing for me. He does an unbelievable job of painting a vision for you, right? Not letting you be comfortable, and says, hey, here are the steps to get there. You know, this can be there if you want. And you see the way he develops players, it makes him truly one of the best coaches out there. Yeah, no, Troy, I'm glad you said that, because that is what he does unbelievably well. He says, hey, here's what you can aspire to be. And it's not like, oh, you know, Max, you're going to go start dunking on Troy. That's never going to happen. But he's like, here's a couple things that if you focus on, the player you can be is this. And you start to believe it, and he'll make your work too. You start to put in that sweat equity, and you're like, you start to see it come together, and you get excited. You're like, wow. And you saw that happen with the team, right? You built the vision on the team. It's like all of a sudden we're getting a little, you know, he was a momentum builder, right? And those teams, we had momentum.
You know, being the stat guy, I got to throw these couple of things out. Number one, the team made 345 3-point field goals, which is the highest of any IU team in the last 35 years.
Oh, wow.
41% from threes. And Max, you averaged, again, you made the most of your time. In a 40-minute game, you averaged 18.3 points and 10.7 rebounds when you were on the floor. And Troy, you were averaging 20 points in 40 minutes. And the thing that I really liked about that team is you couldn't focus on one person. It wasn't like, hey, stop Yogi. You guys were able to really just be balanced, and everybody had a game. Harrison Diego hit a 3-pointer that got him a 3-point record. You know,
he did. I remember that night. I remember that.
But that's the great thing about that team. And hopefully there'll be a time where all of us can get together. Maybe this summer during TBT, if that's still going on, might be a good time to get the gang back. You know, and you know, cherish that, because championships are champions for life. You know, you really get that. Let me ask you something. I talked about Derek last week to both of you. We took a trip to Baltimore, and we went to the Naval Academy. We ate at the Officers Club, and we also went a whole day at training camp with the Baltimore Ravens before their game against Cleveland. And let's go, Troy Max. Tell us about that bonding experience and what you remember from that.
Well, one, that was my first NFL game. It's like, I wasn't, even back then, I wasn't really into football. Like, football wasn't my thing. I just got into football probably like, I want to say 2-3 years ago. I just started watching football more heavily. But back then,
Signetti, huh?
Yeah. So back then it was like
Signetti effect.
It was like it wasn't that big of a deal at first. But once I got there, and then I got to be around the players, got to be in the facility. We got to meet Harbaugh and all of them. I got to learn Coach Crean's family background and all. I think that was such a cool experience, just to experience that, and I got to experience it with the right guys and more. So I truly enjoyed that experience.
Max?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, a couple things that were my takeaway from that. First, you know, anytime you go into a program like the Baltimore Ravens and you see how a pro systems ran, right? You know, you can kind of get in your little bubble and, things are unfair, coaches being hard on me, this and that. But you see pros being pros, and you're in that, you're not watching it from the outside. You're like, okay, take a note, like, lead by example. You're like, wow, these guys are, they're in film, they're taking notes, this and that. I think that was good for everybody to see, right? It's like, hey, let's stay focused on how to be pros at this level. The second thing is that I took away was I have no business being in the NFL. Everyone looks at me and they say, oh man, you were a football player, right? I'm like, no, I was one of those bigger basketball players. I pushed those 7-footers around.
Troy,
but man,
looks like Troy thought you should have been in the NFL, man.
Watching those guys throw around, I set like some bench pressing records for the basketball team and whatnot, but watching those guys throw around weight, I'm like, I have no business being here, and I have so much closure on the football player that could have been. My gosh.
I don't think people realize how truly big football players are, especially linemen. They're just large humans, man. I mean,
they be moving. These are large moving humans.
My buddy, I told
that story. Moving fast too.
I told that story to my buddy from Chicago, and he goes, dude, I had a similar experience. I went to the Cleveland Browns training camp, and I saw Myles Garrett doing leg press.
Oh man,
he's like his quads were like literally ripping out of his like shorts. I'm like, yep, that was a similar experience to what I had. I said, if that guy hits me, I'm gonna actually have to call in sick.
Yeah, and look, and I tell you this too, JD. Because of that moment. Now, so I've been to an All-Star game. I've been to an All-Star game because of my uncle. So we've been there, but I never been to a basketball game, to an NBA game. So my first NFL game was at Indiana, and then my first NBA game was with Indiana as well, because remember we went to that New York game.
Yes,
man. You remember we went to the New York, so we sat all the way at the top. You remember they had the shirt gun, and they shot the shirt gun, and I'm looking at it, and I was like, I think I could get that, and I stood up and I caught it, and everybody looked back at me and was like, yo, did you just catch that? I said, yo, I have a shirt now.
Yeah, I think that was
your. You still have that shirt?
No, I don't have that shirt at all. I don't have it at all.
No, I probably have it in all the stuff I have, Troy.
I remember standing up and catching it, and I was like, I didn't think I was gonna catch it.
I think JD has a warehouse out there somewhere where he lives that he goes into, and he has to walk down each aisle with a flashlight, and it's probably like the library. It's in this system of code. He's got probably four levels. He's probably got a fork truck driver in there picking stuff. I can just see he's always got tons of memorabilia.
Well, I found this shirt too. This is from the East Regional, where us and Carolina and Notre Dame and Wisconsin. So I've
never even seen that shirt. I like that shirt.
Yeah.
I got mine still, Max. I still got mine, Max.
There you go.
Yeah. Both of you, have some interesting family connections. Troy, your uncle Boo Williams, legendary AAU coach, and he runs that program. A lot of people don't know that Boo played for St. Joe and played against IU in the regional in 1981.
Yeah, man. Looking at that banner did hurt for him. Looking at that banner hurts a little bit.
Yeah, and talk about his influence on you, and then Max, we're gonna get. I've got a family thing to ask you as well.
Just this past weekend, that St. Joseph's team got back together and went to a game. They gave them their flowers, celebrated them at halftime. So they just did that. And then also on this past Sunday, his documentary was just shown to close family and friends. That should be probably releasing here in the next couple months. So that's going to be able to be viewed. But just having an uncle like him, just having him be my uncle, more so for me was, I always looked at him as just an uncle. And as I gotten older, even to this day and age where I'm going overseas and I'm playing ball and I got people asking me about him still. And it makes me realize how much of a global aspect he's known on, and the lives that he's changed throughout our hometown in Hampton, Virginia. Just the many lives he's touched, been a part of, like the love he gets from Allen Iverson, from Alonzo Mourning, from JJ Redick, all these players that he coached before him. I mean, it's just amazing to see. And then he even says it in an interview. He lost his last college game against Indiana. He had never thought that he'd have a family member go to Indiana.
Yeah. And Max, the practice facility at Illinois is named after your family. And you had a brother-in-law or have a brother-in-law that played at Illinois. And how was that kind of give and take when you were playing for both Michigan and then Indiana with tell them who your brother-in-law.
Yeah. So my brother-in-law is Myers Leonard. He married my older sister. And honestly, I was between Michigan and Illinois coming out of high school, and first things first, I'm pretty sure if I went to Illinois, they wouldn't be married, right? Dating a teammate, the brother. What am I saying? If a teammate is dating your sister, that's kind of not kosher, right? So I don't know if that would have worked. Who knows, right? So going to Michigan wasn't because of that. I didn't know they were going to get married. I had no insight. I think they actually met on my visit there. He was my host. But no, B, I mean, listen, there was the not the family pressure, but everyone's kind of like, oh, you guys are going to go to Illinois. I was a diehard Illinois fan growing up, right? I was at the 2005 national championship against North Carolina, which coincidentally ended my childhood dreams of being a national champion and my collegiate dreams of being a national champion. Thanks, Tar Heels. No, I mean, listen, I mean, the Illinois connections are deep, and it would have been cool to go there, I'm sure. But I think at some point you got to make a business decision, right? You kind of get some feelings of it. I always kind of just use the quick example of, when I was making my choice, they were both kind of middle of the pack, barely made the tournament. I think Michigan lost to Duke in the round of 32 and Illinois had a similar, but 2 years later, Illinois is, 3 games out of last in the Big Ten, and Michigan was in the national championships, right? You can kind of, the culture was building there. You kind of feel something was good, and you had to make a business decision for ourselves. And then even out of Michigan, when I was looking to transfer, I had to go through a whole appeal process, and that I thought I played for a lot of teams, playing for 2 Big Ten teams back then, and now teams are playing, and now guys are playing for like five different teams in 5 years. But
so I had like Troy, but be all college jerseys hanging in.
Exactly, right? Yeah.
You can have 4 or 5 different jerseys hanging up.
Yeah. So I was, by the time I had won my appeal, Illinois had already recruited Mike Thorne from Charlotte. So they already had kind of, the big man there. And it just so happened that Indiana came calling, and it was a perfect fit for me to go to IU.
Hey, let's take a quick break. We are so fortunate to have Max Bielfeldt and Troy Williams in Campbell's corner. JD Campbell here as well. Back with plenty more right after these messages. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. ISB Radio with Jim Coyle is brought to you exclusively on The Zone by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage, and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
Bored, Bloomington? Dave and Buster's can fix that. Eat and drink your way through our all-new menu. Play half-price games every Sunday through Thursday. Watch all your team's wins on a 40-foot screen and 30 HD TVs. And level up with the high-flying human crane that puts you in the game. Private game suites, our exclusive arena, and more. Only at Dave & Buster's on 731 South College Mall Road.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Tuesday. Jim Coyle with you as always, and so fortunate today in Campbell's corner, J.D. Campbell, of course. He has locked down Troy Williams, the high flyer, and the sharpshooting Max Bielfeldt. Big Ten champions, no less.
15-3.
15-3. I don't know that Michigan is trying to get there, beat that, but man, that's going to be tough.
Conference schedules are so different now because you never play most teams twice. And I think that's a better measure. And not that we didn't have single plays, because we did, but that's the one downside of conference expansion. I got a few games that I got to ask you guys about, and we'll go Max then Troy on this one.
I've got one, JD. I got one thing I want to ask real quick before you get into a line, because this is just, I think, something very, very important that people would like to know. Max is, you mentioned earlier, the University of Illinois, the admin building named after the Bielfeldts, but how about, we've got big, all these different nicknames, but how about Big Puppy and Moose? You're
muted. You muted, Max.
What to hear?
This commercial break.
Big Puppy and Moose.
Yeah. So no, Big Puppy was a high school one, right? So
yep.
I'm a smiley, happy guy, and I'm physical, right?
These are nicknames. These are nicknames for Max, by the way, people.
Yeah, they were. That was given to me, I think, my sophomore year of high school by some seniors that led the student section. They're like, he's just out there, he's just smiling, having a good time, and getting buckets. He's just like a big puppy. He's physical, pushing people around, and I was like, when a senior's like, hey, how do you think about this nickname? I'm like, as long as it's not like derogatory, like I'm good. Like whatever. I can have a nickname.
I guess you could have played with the big dog. You could have played with the big dog.
Yeah, no, I mean, big dog's reserved for the big dog, but no, big.
You could have played with him. They could have had you guys on the same team, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I was a big dog's son, so that was I'll let him have that GR3, Glenn Robinson. But Big Puppy was high school. It's kind of fun. I don't know. It was a fun play, whatever. And then Moose was a similar thing. It was also to my physicality. It was given to me by a senior at Michigan when I got in there, and I was battling some injuries, so I wasn't playing great, but man, I was killing the weight room. I tell you what. So there was a lineman on the Michigan team called Mooseman, right? And he's like, man, you play like a football player in here. You know what I mean? Like you just shove people around, this and that. Like kind of like Mooseman, like Moose. We're gonna call you Moose. And I'm like, again, a freshman. I'm like, I don't know, as long as it's not like this derogatory, whatever, some bad word over there. I'm like, hey, okay, I'll take Moose. I don't care. And it sticks, whatever. So yeah, so both of those are in terms of the way I played physically in my game, and yeah, so good times.
Perfect.
Oh,
Sorry
and one
about
more
that,
and one more
JD.
thing too, JD, because this to add to it, because I know my aunt will probably kill him, but I also got another Big Ten player in the family, which is my aunt Terry Williams, and she's the one. When I got to Indiana, she was the one coaching at Auburn for their girls team, and then before that, she was at Georgetown when I was in high school. So I got to shout out her too, because she went to Penn State and played.
Okay.
Matter of fact, she's a part of that girls banner. She was on that team that their girls banner has up. I think that was the one. Yeah.
Yeah, Penn State was not a good trip that year. I remember that.
It was not.
That was not fun. But I think the most dominant display of athleticism that I've ever seen in my 37 years of doing this. And I'm going to lead it off with Max. 25-0. Talk about that run. And then Troy, we're going to get your take on it too, because we went into Chrysler Arena, and again, for any road team, that's a tough place to play. Max, you were there when we won in 2013, came back. But that display, 25-0, that carried over an entire end of the half and into the second half. You coming back to play them for the first time as a Hoosier, what was that like? And what do you take from everybody just draining shots?
Quickly, that was the longest, biggest run I have ever seen in my memory of sports. Not kidding. It was just watching someone get buried and then watching them bring in another bunch of dump trucks and put it on top of it.
Yeah. Well, JD, you were talking about most dominant displays of athleticism. I thought you were referring to, because I had so much adrenaline pregame, I had the most athletic layup lines I think I've ever had in my life. I'm really not kidding. I am not kidding. I walked into Chrysler and, it was this place that's been home the past 4 years. You're already like, well, I live there, and we're driving by it on the bus, we're going in and I've never felt those feelings. And I walked in there, I'm like hitting layup lines. I'm like, why am I looking down on the rim? I feel like Troy. So no, but as far as the run goes, Michigan, when I was there, and they always have been under Beeline teams, they're a team that doesn't turn the ball over, right? So it's really hard to go on those runs. It's a little bit Wisconsin-esque where they'll take the air out of the ball sometimes and really make you work, right? So to be able to go on a run like that against a team like that, is tough to do, and it was fun too. It was, I think we got out to a slow start. We're down like 9-2 or something like that, or whatever it was, and I'm like, I didn't come in here to get my butt beat by my old team. And once we started kind of rolling there and rolling, and everyone had their shot, everyone had oh my gosh, that was so fun to be a part of. I truly won't forget it.
Troy, how about you, man? Mike Tirico was giving you love about your athleticism, your back cuts, getting an alley-oop from Yogi. What were you feeling?
I just wanted to win the game more so for Max, man. I think just going into it, even Coach Crean bringing it up, just saying like, yo, we want this game, we want this for Max and all this, that, and the more. I really just wanted to go out there and just beat them, honestly. That was just the only thing on my mind. I was like, I just want to get this win for Max. So, it turned into just having fun on the court, honestly. Like, it started to become fun. We're playing together, everything's clicking. Like, it was just one of those games, honestly.
And so we come back and we're 15 or we got our third loss after a bad Penn State outing. And we go to the stretch and we get Illinois on the road. Now we got to go to Iowa. 2 games left. If we win the championship outright. If we lose, then we got to beat Maryland on Sunday. And I'm going to start with you, Troy. That Iowa game at Iowa, there is nothing sweeter than winning a conference championship on somebody else's home floor. What were your emotions and the feelings that you had in that game? Because it looked like we had it for a while after Yogi hit the 3.
Yeah.
And then it got interesting. And I think Peter Jock had a wide open 3 in the corner. Talk about that night and what that night meant to you to be able to be an outright Big Ten champion.
One, it felt good too. Like you said, it was at an away game. We're on the road. Like the home crowd is yelling at us. Like everything is against us at the moment. But just that feeling. And I know Peter Jock. Like I've known Peter Jock since high school. So playing against Peter at Iowa was fun. And just to get that win, like I think we met up a couple years ago and we talked about that game as well. But just the emotion out there. I don't think I won a lot of individual awards before that moment, and to have that moment as a team award felt so good to me, man. It just those moments, that energy, that feeling, like I don't know if anything's going to top that feeling.
Max, you come in the first year and you get, your play is so elevated. Troy was a 3rd-team All-Big Ten guy. Yogi was a 2nd-team All-American. But you got an honor that not a lot of guys have gotten at Indiana, and that's the Big Ten 6th Man of the Year. What are your memories of that game and the ensuing celebration in the tiny, tiny locker room that we had, at Iowa?
That game was was a gritty one. I know that for sure. Iowa was really good that year, and they had a veteran team, not easy to beat. I think people forget how good that Iowa team really was. B, it was also one of the first games after we lost Rob Johnson too. So being able to win that one. I think he went down against Purdue, and then we had the game against Illinois. I think it was Iowa after that. So we had to kind of navigate a new team again, really, a new rotation, similar to when we lost James, back in December. So it's we were just it's every time we were just starting to get comfortable, you're like, oh crap, we lost a big piece, and we got to figure out, okay, what's the new rotation, who's going to take over these roles, et cetera. So to be able to kind of grit that one out on the road, one of my memories is the last shot. We messed up on defense so bad, and I think they had like an open 3 minute or tie it, and we had drawn this thing up. It's like, all right, guys, we're going to switch this, switch that, and you're just looking at whoever it was in the corner, and you're like, oh no, like
Peter Jock. It was Peter Jock who shot that last three. It was Peter Jock who shot that last 3 from the corner. I remember it.
There are some games you're like, you know what? Shoot, we'll take it. It's like those gritty physical games where the final score is 52-48 and you shot 25% but won. You're like, screw it. We're not even going to watch film. That's a win. And that was one of those. I mean, it was down to the wire. Yogi made that big shot, and we caught a break there. But I mean, winning on the Big Ten, I don't care how you do it. It's gritty, not pretty. That celebration was great. Being able to celebrate with the guys and have our first really team success. Team championship was awesome, and to see the look on those guys' faces, it was really remarkable. In that tiny locker room, water bottles everywhere. It was like, that's your first. You're like, Troy, you're talking about individual awards, and the 6th man of the year was great. But man, there is nothing you will ever get the rest of your life, than being able to celebrate after a big moment with your guys that you've been grinding with for a long time. I mean, it's what makes team sports so great.
Mm-hmm.
We go in, and Sunday, it was almost like the pressure is off, and we crushed Maryland, didn't we? Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and there was that great play. I think it was Zysov, or flipped the ball all the way down maybe to Juwan in that game. It was a CBS game.
Yeah.
I think everybody looked at that was going to be a game for the Big Ten championship, but we had already won. So we finished that, and now we go to the Big Ten tournament, and we get stunned.
First game against Michigan. Back. Yeah, Jordan Poole, the one who hit that 3. I remember Jordan Poole not doing nothing all game. He got in and hit that 3 at the end.
It was Cam Chapman.
It was Cam Chapman.
It was Cam Chapman. Yeah, because I remember this, because obviously he was my teammate. Yeah. Cam Chapman, I think had hit like 6 or 7 threes all year. Like, I'm not kidding.
It was something like that. Yeah.
It was single digits, and I'm like, really? He's going to make his 8th? It's March. He's like,
right?
Really? Oh yeah. Cam Chapman from the corner. That was, I don't even know if there was a question there, JD, but you got me going now. So. No, I mean, that one was tough, right? Again, we're navigating a new team without Rob, and Michigan did a good job because we heated them up a little bit in Chrysler, and they got on their heels, and we put some pressure on them. And Beeline does a good job of, when a team puts pressure on you, he has a couple scripted backdoor plays that he'll run to kind of loosen you up, and we try to come out the same way. And there was a couple backdoors right away. You're like, crap. So he kind of had us on our heels, and it was a back and forth gritty game. It got a little messy at points. And then, down to the wire. Yeah, that one, from the corner, that one hurt.
And Colin, I think, broke his arm in that game.
I don't even doubt it. I mean, Juwan probably had a shoulder come out of its socket. Colin probably broke his arm.
It was Juwan. Juwan's shoulder came out of pocket. I don't think Colin ever hurt his arm. I don't think Colin broke his arm.
No, he hurt his arm because if you remember, again, the great thing for us was Michigan and Purdue ended up playing in the championship, and Michigan State got beat in the first round by East Tennessee, which I've always said, sometimes getting beat in the conference tournament early to give you rest,
it wasn't
may be a good thing. And for us, it was. We went to
We still got a 5th seed that year, too, in the tournament.
Well, and that was the year the tournament bracket was leaked, so we're all sitting there in the Cook Hall locker room, and Twitter's blowing up that Indiana and Kentucky are in the same regional, 4-5. and we were a conference champion, and to be a 5 seed, I thought was disappointing. But we go and really take care of Chattanooga, and Kentucky came into that game riding really high.
Then we got them in the round of 32.
Yeah, and that was a situation where I thought we really, every time they threw a punch, we punched back. And Troy, you'll start, then Max. Talk about your memories of that day, because if you watch the YouTube highlights, you're everywhere, scooping, laying up, hitting off the glass and stuff. But again, that was another great team win.
Well, one, I wanted, so the film session before that game, Tom Crean, he tells everybody what my recruiting looked like in high school. So for me personally, I came down to UNC and I came to Kentucky before I even picked Indiana. The first time I shortened my list was down to Kentucky and UNC when I was a 10th grader. I went through a slump 11th grade years when I opened back up and I came back down to Indiana and Louisville. So Coach Crean talked about that. He told the guys what the game meant to me and all this, and that if we beat Kentucky, we'll get UNC right after. So to me personally, I'm like, all right, bet. I got both teams that both backed off on me. I want both of these teams. And I mean, it's in the game where I think it probably might have been or at least was my attempt at the first 2 points. It's when I tried to dunk on Skylar Bissiere, and I tried to dunk it too hard and it hit the back rim and went all the way back to like half court. But I wanted that game so bad. I wanted both of those games. We did end up getting that first game. I mean, this the energy, and it was such a quick turnaround. Just playing on Friday, and then the round of 32 was on that Sunday. We only get 1 day rest, and we're playing Kentucky. I mean, that Kentucky team, I think they had Jamal Murray, Skylar Bissiere, Alex Poitras, Tyler Eulis. Like, they had a good little squad that year. And I mean, just to pull off that win, just that energy, the crowd, just everything about that moment was everything.
Yeah, no, that Kentucky game the environment was insane. I mean, for a round of 32 game, I forget where I read it, but someone was saying it was one of the highest priced round of 32 tickets like out there. I mean, because round of 32 matchups are good, but Kentucky, Indiana, I mean, Big Ten champion versus a good Kentucky team. That's Jamal Murray, Tyler Eulis, right? I mean, insane draw. I mean, that's the one downside. We talked about rest in the Big Ten championship, in the Big Ten tournament. But man, that they really, really knocked us for losing to Michigan there, and that one hurt. Being a 5 seed, it's like, you got, okay, hey, good luck. Okay, round of 32 or round of 64, Chattanooga. We were picked to get upset. And you're like, okay, that's a great start.
Always.
Yeah, always. And then Kentucky, it's like, hey, good luck. Enjoy the Wildcats. This is a money grab for the NCAA. And then, okay, hey, if you beat Kentucky, enjoy North Carolina, who's going to go on the national championship, and then win it the next year. Like, I mean, their team was insane. But no, the Kentucky environment was epic. I mean, that was one of those just gritty wins that feels so good to come out. You're like, you finally get to the locker room, you take your first full breath. You're like, yep, that was a absolute gauntlet. That was just a slugfest. So those always feel good to win. I love those. But no, Kentucky round of 32, insane. And then North Carolina, I guess I'll break into that. North Carolina, I remember, I think it was Coach Judson's scout, and he's like, all right, guys, like, listen, these guys have been number one most of the year. They dropped here, but they pretty much held the number one slot most of the year. If they have one weakness, that's not even a weakness. If they don't have something that they excel at, it's 3-point shooting. And you're like, okay, all right. So we're like, okay, keep them off the boards. Obviously, North Carolina's a great rebounding team. They're like, but the 3-point shooting, it's inconsistent. I think they shot like 80% from 3 in the first half. They
shot the greatest percentage that night.
Oh my God. I'm like, we get to halftime. I'm like, Coach, what were you saying about the 3-point shooting? You said that, but man, that was just one of those, they couldn't miss. And we got down early. I think we got down early. We checked in. I think we were down like 8 or 10. And I'm like, you can't get down to a team like that. You can't get down 10 points because they're too physical. They'll hit the offensive boards. It's hard to go on a 25-0 run against a team like that. I'll say that.
And I'll tell you that, like, man, because mind you, I've been in the Kevin Durant camp. I've been in the LeBron James camp. I was a Jordan All-American. Like, I've been through this stuff. So, like, playing against that UNC team, I know all these guys. I know Justin Jackson. I know all these guys. And then I've been playing against Justin Jackson because I work out with John Lucas in Houston, and that's where Justin Jackson's from. He's from Texas. So I've been playing against these guys for years. And, man, I wanted that game so bad, JD. I think that's the only game. No, not even think. That's for sure the only game in Indiana that I had 5 threes made that game. Like, I wanted that game bad. I did not want the season to end that way at all.
No, but especially we were going to get a chance, I think, to play Notre Dame because they knocked off Wisconsin. They were in the locker room right next to us at the old Wells Fargo Arena. So I think we felt, man, if we can get by UNC, we got a chance to go to the Final Four because we were always so confident for whatever reason against Notre Dame. Well, the reason is because we beat the crap out of them.
I said we just beat them that same year.
But we had done the same to Michigan. But I know the Kentucky game was one of the highest rated games in that NCAA tournament for CBS. That was big time. And of course, it's the last time IU has beaten Kentucky, and they've only played once since. But there was just something, Crean and Calipari and their friendship and the whole ordeal after the watch shot. I think that was very unexpected on both sides. And
you know what? I maintain my neutrality doing through all the sports reporting and all this, except for one thing. And I tell people all the time, and I don't care. I cannot stand Kentucky. I grew up not being able to stand Kentucky, and I still can't stand Kentucky. They're not as fun to dislike now, but I don't like them, and I'm not going to like them, never going to like them. But that's fun. You got to have that. Hey, we've got some greats, Troy Williams and Max Bielfeldt in J.D. Campbell's corner. Got to take one last break here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Glad to have you with us. Back with more right after these messages.
Indiana football accomplished what no other team ever has. Big Ten, Rose Bowl, Peach Bowl, and CFP national champions. The Hoosiers have etched their name into the history books as the first 16-0 team in the modern era. A limited edition of only 5,000 commemorative national championship footballs has been released. 3 full panels embossed and stamped with every championship logo and fully licensed. Get your piece of history today at NICOsports.com. That's NICOsports.com.
Dave & Buster's Bloomington is the place to eat, drink, play, and watch. Enjoy half-price games Sunday through Thursday, plus a new menu and next-level upgrades like private game suites and the high-flying human crane. Only at Dave & Buster's Bloomington on South College Mall Road.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
You're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area? You need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemoreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. ISB Radio with Jim Coyle is brought to you exclusively on The Zone by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer.
Bored, Bloomington? Dave & Buster's can fix that. Eat and drink your way through our new menu. Play half-price games every Sunday through Thursday. Watch your teams on the big screen and level it all up with the high-flying human crane. Private game suites and more, only at 731 South College Ball Road.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Tuesday. Jim Coyle with you as always, and as usual, outshined. But man, We're way in the background today in J.D. Campbell's corner, Max Bielfeldt and Troy Williams. This has been so much fun. We've only got a couple of minutes left, J.D., that may have to do this one again, man. I love getting these two guys together. That was hilarious. But take her away. Like I said, we've only got like 3 minutes left.
Well, Max, then Troy, give us an update on what's going on in your life right now. And, tell us the impact that being at IU had on you.
Also, I can't, when Jim talks, I can't hear Jim. It's like muted when Jim talks. I don't know.
You're
that's
not missing
for
anything. Tell him he's not. Tell him he's not missing anything.
Don't worry about Jim. He doesn't say anything that matters. It's just me.
That's exactly
Max,
right.
Tell us what's going on, and then Troy.
Okay.
Yeah, sure thing. So these days I'm in cybersecurity sales, moved on to the real world, right? You got to do it at some point. I looked at playing pro. I think for me, I could have gone and played Lithuania or whatever for some years, but it was lifestyle decision. I was like, I don't know if I've talked to some people. I'm like, listen, I played at Indiana. I got the basketball fixed. I got 2 degrees at this point. I'd rather be in an interview saying, hey, you have no work experience at 23 than 33. So that's kind of where I'm, where I went. And, I've been in the working world now, and it's good. And all things good there. But as far as, the Indiana, experience, it's been amazing. Even every time I have a chance to go back to Bloomington, or even, I was at the Indiana football games following the playoffs, the Peach Bowl and the national championship. It's so fun to go back there and reconnect. And you get reminded, you're like, man, that was such a fun experience. And the fandom there and the passion that this school has for their sports is unparalleled. So, truly grateful.
Are you still in Illinois, Max?
I'm still balling, of course. After 3 years in the NBA, couple years overseas, I'm still balling. I went through a torn Achilles 2 years ago, but I've been back on the court. Let's see. Other than that, just being a father, just taking it one day at a time, man. Still balling, still enjoying the game.
Well, I can tell you this. In my time at Indiana, the thing that I cherish the most is the relationships that we had with just about, every player. And you guys are a big part of that because I know there were a lot of ups and downs. Troy, you came in right after the Sweet 16 with Cody Zeller, and, you had to go get battered and bruised a little bit. Mm-hmm. And Max, seeing you flourish like you were a new person, within your basketball career. What a way to end your basketball career. And I just want to thank you guys. I consider you friends for life. And again, I hope we get a chance to get a reunion together. It's always hard because everybody's got busy schedules, but you guys and that team hold a special place in my heart.
Definitely no. I still appreciate that team. That's still one of the best teams I've been on, chemistry wise, playing wise, just everything about that culture and everything. I still love those guys.
Amen to that. It's fun when you go to work and the people you work with make it fun and you're all aligned for a common goal and day to day you just grind together and see what you can succeed with.
Max, as always, I cannot tell you how much we appreciate you. Troy, first time, man, and definitely hope it's not a last. Look forward to doing this again. And JD, you are the man. Next Tuesday, get to do it all over again. So hopefully, yeah, go ahead.
Thank you too for always being there for me and checking on me. I had the health issues a couple years ago. And when I see you and I saw you afterwards, it's just so meaningful to know the love that I get from you guys. And I just can't thank you enough. And I hope to see you soon.
For sure.
That's going to wrap it up for us. Go out, have yourselves a great day. We're back tomorrow to do it again. Until then, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.